This is AMRA claim Albie 2. Albie 2 is located about 1.5 miles south of Groveland, California, in the South Motherlode. It's in a little depression called the Second Garrote. Garrote is Spanish for death by strangulation, and back in the 1850s there was a man hung here who apparently stole from some of the other miners. It's got a pretty rich history, and it's a pretty rich placer according to the historical books that we've read. We found good gold in the cracks, and it's probably one of the most mineral-rich placers in the creek bed that we've ever seen. The creek is pretty much dry throughout the year, so it's a little bit tough to work it. You'll have to take the material and find a water source and run it there. We've brought our own water in here and worked the claim. You can see some mounding here in the video. That's evidence of the old timers back in the day. Now, did they pull all that material out and stack it over the top of other material that's never been worked? It's hard to say. We do know that the meadow in the picture here has not been worked. It's got excellent access. That's how close you are to a pavement road. Great camping, and there's an RV park right on the border of the claim. According to the 1852 census, there was 42 Hispanic miners living in this area. They didn't work at all. What's really interesting about this claim is, with all of the mounding in here, is if you think about how they had to take the gravel out of the creek bed and they moved it and then they would stack it up. But most of the time back in the day, these old-time miners, they didn't work that ground first. You always have to move the material somewhere. So did they cover up that material, the old ground, the virgin ground? That's the question, and that's why this is such a promising claim. We do ask every time that you visit one of our AMRA claims that you please leave the claim cleaner than it was when you arrived. Here's an example of the creek bed with the gravel formations. You can see that there's a variety of different colors, which represents quite a bit of time that the material's been washing down and eroding out of the banks. There is poison oak on the claim, although we've never seen any snakes. That doesn't mean that they don't exist there, though. The claim borders private property on both ends in the creek bed. Please respect the other property owners. There's some trees on this claim that we're quite certain are over 170 years old, which would mean, and those are down in the basin, which would mean that they never worked that area. This is an area that I think that would be really, really promising if a guy would go in with a shovel and just start punching some holes. Make sure you don't leave any dangers for anybody that comes along after you, but I think that if you punch those down to the bedrock and then see what sits on top of that, I think that it's got some real promise. This is AMRA claim Albie 2, AmericanMiningRights.com.